This content is not suitable for children and may contain depictions of violence.
Hi, I'm your host Cambo. Grab a beer and pull up a deck chair. This is True Crime Island, another true crime podcast. So hi Islanders, I hope you're all doing well. We're having lockdown restrictions gradually lifted here, so I hope we don't have a second wave. So make sure you wash your hands and keep your distance. Well, this week you might get a feeling of deja vu, and I don't blame you, because this week's episode is another one of those cases where the innocent victim's life is taken by a maggot grub for no reason, totally unprovoked, and it would devastate the family and friends and shock the community. It's just as heartbreaking as the last few cases I covered. Anita Cobby, Kim Barry, Sandra Hall, Laurel Macon, Shanda Scherer, and even Janine Balding and Lee. Now tonight I reference the bluemountaingazette.com.au, the Sydney Morning Herald, news.com.au, the Daily Mail, the Daily Mail, and Court Records, and I will be reading extensively from these. And as usual, I have edited them for clarity and flow. So this case takes place in a small rural town called Leeton, which is a town located in the Riverina region of southern New South Wales, Australia, and population's about 8,600. It's about 6 hours drive west of Sydney, but it's actually closer to Melbourne. It's about 5 hours drive north of Melbourne in what's called the MIA, or the Murrumbidgee Irrigation Area. Now, we used to go there for school excursions. It's here that 26-year-old Stephanie Claire Scott worked as a teacher at the local school. She was born the 14th of October 1988 in Canawindra to Bob and Marilyn Scott. She had 4 siblings: Gordon, Robin, Kim and Stuart. Stephanie was vice captain of Canawindra High School and worked at the local swimming pool when she was younger. Now, Stephanie studied at the Charles Sturt University in Wagga Wagga, and then she went on to become the English and drama teacher at Leeton High School. Now, she'd worked there for about 3 years and was extremely well liked by students and teachers alike. On Thursday, the 2nd of April 2015, that was the last day of school term before the Easter school holidays, and it was Stephanie's last day at work before her wedding. The staff held a party for her on that day. Now, she was due to be married to Aaron Leeson Woolley on the 11th of April the next week. On Good Friday, the 3rd of April, Aaron and Stephanie had a party at Canawindra that they were invited to. But as the wedding was only days away, Stephanie decided not to go. She decided instead to spend the Easter weekend taking care of various arrangements, including going to Griffith for shopping and collecting the travel tickets for the honeymoon. She also wanted to drop into the school to make sure that everything was ready for the teacher that was going to fill in for her while she was away on her honeymoon. At 12:30 p.m, Aaron kissed Stephanie goodbye and told her that he loved her. He was due to return on Easter Sunday. Now, they maintained contact over the weekend with texts and phone calls, and Aaron made dinner reservations for them on the Sunday night. Aaron sent Stephanie a text on the Sunday, but didn't receive a reply. She was not at home when he returned at about 7:20 p.m, and further text messages from Aaron went unanswered. He believed that she may have stayed away for the night due to her feeling anxious about the wedding organisation and him not having been there over the weekend. He didn't sleep at all that night. Now, further attempts by Aaron to locate Stephanie the next morning were unsuccessful. So this is Easter Monday. It is a public holiday in Australia. He reported her missing at Leeton Police Station. Inquiries revealed that Stephanie's mobile phone was uncontactable. There had been no activity on her bank account since her shopping on Saturday, and there was also no activity on her social media accounts. Her red Mazda 2 was also missing. Now, Aaron drove around everywhere looking for her. He thought maybe she'd had an accident in her car. And see, this is the Murrumbidgee irrigation area, so there's plenty of wide canals everywhere, and lots of roads follow these canals. And maybe she'd lost control of the car and slid into one, and that was a thing in the area. Now, there were initial concerns that Stephanie may have got cold feet regarding the wedding, but there was absolutely no indication of this being the case from her friends or family or from her text activity. Now, relatives and friends posted appeals on social media, and they generated a significant amount of activity which spread across the nation. Now, police knew that she'd been at the school on the Sunday preparing lessons for the teacher that was going to fill in for her. And they also heard that a 24-year-old Vincent Stanford's car had been seen there that day. Vincent was an identical twin and born in Australia, but his family moved to Holland when he was about 3 years old. His father returned to Australia after 6 months, and there was no further contact with him. Vincent and his brothers were raised by their mother. He, his mother, and older brother Luke returned to Australia in early 2014 and took up residence in Maiden Avenue, Leeton. His twin brother Marcus had returned a year or two earlier and lived in South Australia. Now, Vincent, he didn't take any drugs or drink booze, but there were a couple of troubling incidents when he was at school in the Netherlands. He had attended a behaviour school in 2001 and 2002, and this was because of his unruly behaviour, limited social skills, limited friendships, and oppositional behaviour. An incident in 2003 at another school when he was aged just 12 involved him being in a schoolyard without authorisation and refusing to leave. He unexpectedly grabbed the school principal by her throat with both hands and with such force that she had difficulty breathing. Well, he was expelled after that. But a month prior to this, he had been involved in a fight with another student where he grabbed him by the throat. He was sent to an adolescent psychiatric centre for behavioural problems and violent incidents. He then enrolled in a smaller school for students with special needs and remained there until the age of 16. Now, after leaving school, Vincent applied to study information technology at a college and also tried to join the army, but he was rejected in both cases. He worked as a cleaner for 5 years and then worked in a sawmill. Now, Vincent thought that his boss at the cleaning job in the Netherlands was disorganised and did not care about the standard of his workers, and this really annoyed him. Vincent said that he took pride in his work performance. He said that he had serious thoughts of violence towards his boss on a few occasions, and he knew it was time to leave. Now, when Vincent, his mum and brother moved back to Australia, they settled in Leeton and he got a job as a cleaner a couple of months after moving there. He had no friends or social contacts. He said that being in the company of other people was stressful and he disliked it. He said that he was relatively comfortable in his cleaning job, working before and after hours and generally alone, because there was little need or opportunity for social interaction. Now, his employment as a casual cleaner meant he worked at a variety of locations, including a number of schools and other educational facilities, and that included Leeton High School. On the 2nd of March 2015, Vincent began what was to be a 5-week relief position at Leeton High School. Now, he had been working there casually before this. The position was planned to end on the last day of term, but it was extended. Now, Vincent had his roles and responsibilities explained to him on the 27th of February, when he was also given the keys to the school. His hours were 3:30 a.m. until 8:30 a.m. and then 3 p.m. until 6 p.m. on weekdays. He was not to attend outside those hours except by arrangement, and he was only to be in the areas associated with his cleaning duties. Basically, they didn't want him on site during normal school hours. It didn't take long before Vincent began acting outside the terms of his employment. He somehow obtained alarm access codes despite the school's policy of not providing them to casual employees. He was regularly seen at the school outside of his work hours in areas not associated with his employment. He was seen at the school when children were on breaks from lessons and in and around the girls' toilets, including when they were occupied. That's pretty creepy stuff. On Tuesday, the 7th of April, police who were investigating the disappearance of Stephanie Scott found out that Vincent's vehicle had been constantly at the school over the Easter weekend, so they went to his home to speak with him. Now, his vehicle was a ute, and that's a small truck for those in the US. Now, Vincent confirmed he'd been at the school cleaning the bins and stuff. He denied having seen Stephanie though, and get this, he called out to police as they were leaving, "Hey, good luck with the search." Now, at this stage, Stephanie had been missing for 3 days. No activity on her phone, social media or bank accounts. Now, Aaron was freaking out, and the story was now nationwide. People were split between she's got cold feet and run off, or she's had some sort of misadventure. On the morning of Wednesday, the 8th of April, a detective attended Vincent's home, but he wasn't there. At about 11 a.m, Vincent attended Leeton Police Station and provided a statement regarding his movements on Easter Sunday. He said that he'd been cleaning all weekend, but hadn't seen anyone at the school other than some people roller skating. He also claimed to have gone to the Golden Apple supermarket in Leeton that day. Now, police inquiries revealed he was lying, as the supermarket didn't open on Easter Sunday. Now they knew that Vincent had lied to them. They went back to his house at about 6 p.m. to ask whether he'd attend the police station for an interview. They were also seeking permission to search the house. Now, Vincent wasn't home, and his mum gave consent for police to conduct a walkthrough. Police saw fresh tyre tracks leading from the front of the house into the rear yard towards a shed. The tyre impressions were left by a vehicle with a smaller wheelbase, or track I think they mean, than that of Vincent's ute. A used condom was found on the ground in that area, and nearby was some yellow tape. In Vincent's bedroom, police found a set of keys matching the description of the school keys given to Stephanie on Easter Sunday. An empty condom wrapper and condoms still in their wrappers were also found. At this stage, police declared the premises a crime scene. Now, Vincent arrived home and was approached by police. Now, Detective Mills said, "Have you been at work?" And Vincent replied, "No, I've been out taking photographs." Police saw his camera on the front seat of the ute. They also saw large MDF boards in the rear of the ute with what appeared to be blood smear. Vincent's ute was seized and he agreed to accompany police to the station. Police turned on the camera and viewed the first image, which displayed a burnt, seemingly female corpse in the bushland. And when the camera was further examined at the police station, it revealed a further photograph of the same burnt corpse. There was a substance in a number of places on the strap of the camera which matched the appearance of a substance on the corpse. Now, Vincent denied the photographs were of Stephanie. He said that he downloaded them from the internet from a horror movie because he thought they were funny. Police asked Vincent about a number of fresh-looking scratch marks on his face and arms, And he said he bumped his head and had run into a tree branch about a week before. A forensic examination was undertaken on Vincent's ute. Smears on the MDF boards tested positive for human blood. Also located in the vehicle was a GPS navigation device which had recent locations including Boundary Road, and that's a gravel road from which Kokopara National Park can be accessed. A used condom was found next to where he'd parked his ute in the backyard. In a cupboard in Vincent's bedroom, police found a bottle of lube, a condom box containing 2 unopened condoms, and a set of handcuffs. A knife was located close by. There was also a red bra that was found. Now, all these items would be sent for a forensic examination, and all DNA tests would eventually come back as matching Stephanie's profile. Now, Vincent was given the opportunity to speak with a solicitor and subsequently declined to be interviewed. He consented to a number of forensic procedures, including the examination, photographing and measuring of his injuries, and the taking of fingernail scrapings and a saliva sample for DNA. He was placed under arrest for the murder of Stephanie Scott. On Thursday, the 9th of April, Stephanie's car was found in Pike Road, Stanbridge. That's about a 12-minute drive or 2.5-hour walk from Leeton. Forensic testing revealed human blood in the boot and on the external bumper bar. Now, on a side note here, the Thursday edition of the Courier Mail had a front page headline, Bride and Seek. Now, the paper reckoned that the front page was signed off and printed on the Wednesday night before murder charges were laid. But fuck me dead. Regardless, she was still a missing person at this stage, and imagine the stress this caused the family. Oh, and the irony of being newspaper of the year at the time. Anyway, on Friday the 10th of April, the day before Stephanie and Aaron were supposed to get married, her burnt remains were located on the edge of Kokopara National Park in the late afternoon. Police soon realised that her burnt corpse matched the images on Vincent's camera. A post-mortem examination was conducted by Dr. René van Vuren, forensic pathologist, on the 13th of April. Now, Dr. van Vuren said that the direct cause of death was blunt force head trauma. Bruises were detected mostly on the right side of the face. There was a small laceration on the right eyebrow. There was a nasal fracture and a blowout fracture of the right eye. There were 2 stab wounds on the right side of the neck, reaching to the front of the 4th cervical vertebra. The right internal jugular vein was disrupted. There was no associated hemorrhage in the tract, but hemorrhaging was seen in the layers of the skin and in between the muscles in the 2 wounds. There was internal bleeding on and within the brain. Basically, Vincent bashed her to death and stabbed her in the neck to make sure she was dead. Now, on Saturday, the 11th of April, Vincent spoke with corrective services officers at Junee Correctional Centre and asked to talk with investigators. Police attended and an interview was conducted, and Vincent confessed to the murder. He was further interviewed on the 21st of April. Now, during the interviews, Vincent would make certain admissions about what happened, but he keeps some things from police which I'll discuss after you watch these video clips.
Okay, so when you've taken her out of the boot, did you take the clothes off her in the boot, or did you take clothes off her in the ground?
On the ground.
On the ground?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, obviously, she had, at this stage, there was a lot of blood, and did she have injuries to her face? Did you notice any swelling or...?
Yeah, the right side of her face.
Yep. It was quite...
Up near her eye.
Yep. And that's from when you punched her when she was on the ground? Okay. And you said you threw some wood on her, or branches and stuff, and then did you put the fuel on after that, or did you put the fuel on before?
After that.
After that, okay. And you've put her clothes back in the car?
Yeah.
Yep. In the boot. Okay, so then did you use match to light the fire, or did you use cigarette?
Put some petrol on a stick, and I lit a match on that.
Yep.
And I chucked the stick on there.
Yep. And where did the match? What about the match? Where did you put it?
I think it's still there, probably.
Did you throw that in the fire or just drop it?
No, I dropped it where the stick was.
Okay. Is that far away from the body or
No,
no? No. Okay. So when you travelled after, did you stay around long to watch your body burn, or
no, I left straight away.
you left straight away? Now, so was it well alight? Was the body well alight when you left, or you didn't take much notice, or?
Yeah, it was well light. Took a second. Petrol starts fast, so.
Yeah. Okay. And then you travelled home. Which way did you go home?
Same route.
Same route?
Yeah, I think I went and put our car on Pike Road
Yep.
and then walked the rest of the way back home.
What about her earrings, engagement ring?
Don't know, might have taken that off earlier.
Earlier, where did you take those off?
Probably when I was at home with her. No, when I went and collected all her stuff at the high school. Would have been. Not her earrings though.
But her engagement ring, you remember taking that?
Yeah,
Where did
the high school.
Where did you put her engagement ring?
Don't know. Chucked so much stuff out.
Yep. So you got rid of that with her clothes, did you, or?
I would have chucked it in a bin somewhere when I chucked everything else out, but
Okay, so, but you do remember taking an engagement ring off her finger?
yeah,
At
she
the
wore
school?
2 rings.
Wore 2 rings on the same finger, were they, or?
No, different fingers.
Yeah. What fingers were they on? Do you remember?
One on the right index finger and the other on the left, I think.
Right index or
Nah, this one.
ring finger?
Yeah, ring fingers.
Okay. So, and you took those off at the school
Yeah.
after you walked back, or before you went home first time?
Before I went home, when I collected all her stuff, I think.
Okay. Why did you take her engagement ring off then?
I don't know, I was just scrounging up her stuff. Make sure I didn't leave anything behind.
Okay. So it was in her handbag in your cupboard then at some point, her engagement ring?
Would have been, yeah.
Yep. Do you remember when you went home that afternoon to go through her stuff? Did you remember seeing the engagement ring?
Yeah, would have still been in the bag.
You didn't mention it before, that's all. You mentioned other things like her credit cards, wallet.
No, sorry.
Yep. So you remember seeing it then? You remember seeing her engagement ring?
Yeah, would have been.
Okay. Do you have any place where you may have stored some of Stephanie's belongings for later on, or have you stored them at the TAFE or the school or anywhere
No.
else? You disposed of them all?
Yeah, just her bra that was in my bag. But
Yeah.
the
Why
rest
did
I don't have
you
anything.
keep the bra? Like you've disposed of everything else, why the bra?
I honestly don't know.
Don't know.
Maybe I wanted the souvenir.
Yep.
But
Something to remember it by.
probably, but I had no real reason to keep it.
Why the bra though? Why not any other item?
I think it was clean.
Did you wash the bra?
I chucked it in the washing once, yeah.
At home or at school?
At home.
At home. Okay. When did you wash her bra?
Tuesday afternoon, evening would have been.
Okay. Her engagement ring. Can you think where that would be?
No.
Was that in a bin? Do you know if that was taken to a bin? Do you know if that was thrown out a window? Do you know?
It would be in a bin somewhere, but I have no idea where.
Which you don't know which bin?
No.
A bin in Leeton or a bin in Griffith?
In Leeton, probably.
Probably.
Yeah.
Located at the back of the premises near where we believe her motor vehicle was parked was a used condom on the ground. Can you tell me anything about that?
Nah, might have been an old one.
Might have been an old one.
I haven't done anything with her.
So did you sexually assault Stephanie
No.
while she was alive
No.
or deceased?
No.
Okay. When you took her out to Kokopara National Park, are you able to tell me the time that you took her out there?
The time I got there, it might have been 2 a.m. in the morning.
Okay. And whereabouts, you say near Jacks Creek, can you describe for me the precise location near Jacks Creek that you put her body?
If you drive past Jacks Creek, but don't go into it, somewhere between 10 and 15 meters on the left-hand side, there's a clearing with a fallen over tree where her body was.
Okay. And You say you used petrol.
Yes.
Did you place any timber under or over her or anything like that?
Yes.
Okay, where did you place the timber? Under or
On
over?
top of her.
Sorry?
On top
On
of
top
her.
of her. Okay. And how big was the fire?
It was quite large.
Did it burn any other area there? Is there any other area burning?
No, I think just the immediate surrounding, but not a whole lot.
Okay. How long did you stay there for while her body was burning?
I left straight away.
And where did you go then?
Pike Road to park her car.
On your camera, you had 2 photos of the deceased body.
Yes.
Are those photographs of Stephanie?
Yes.
Can you tell me why you took those photographs of Stephanie?
No.
Okay, so can you just outline your movements on Sunday for me in relation to the school, when you got there, how long you were there, and when you murdered Stephanie?
Okay. I went to the high school about 7:30, worked for a couple of hours. When she was ready to leave at about 11:30, I took her into the store and killed her. I put her into the trunk of her car. I got the high pressure cleaner out, cleaned the high school and her blood. I drove her car to my house, parked it behind the shed so nobody would see. Went about my day, and at about 1 a.m. Monday morning, I left to Kookaburra National Park. At about 2 p.m., I dumped her there and burned her. I drove back to Pike Road, put her car there, and I walked home.
Now we spoke to you on Wednesday night, on the 8th,
Yes.
and we spoke to you about certain scratches that I can still see on your face now.
Yes.
Can you tell me where you got those scratches from?
Several of them are from Stephanie Scott
And how did she do that?
with her fingernails
And when did she do that?
when I tried to kill her, when I killed her.
When you killed her?
Yes.
Okay, so you say that you've... Can you just tell me exactly what happened when she walked... When you first... You said you were waiting for her to come out, were you? You were waiting for her to finish her work?
Yes.
Okay. What exactly happened then? When she finished her work, what did you do?
I picked her up from behind with my right hand over her mouth and my left hand around her middle. I dragged her into the store. I closed the door behind us, chopped her on the floor, and I beat her to death.
You say with your fists?
Yes.
Did you use any other weapon?
I did use a knife as well.
A knife?
Yes. A clip point knife.
What?
A clip point knife.
What's a clip point knife?
It's a knife that's angled from the top and again at the bottom. It should be at my house.
Where was she when you first saw her?
She was in the staff room upstairs for the English drama math teacher.
Okay. What was she doing?
She was working on a computer.
Was the staff room door open, closed, or
Open.
where were you at that time then?
I was working, had our pressure cleaner out to clean the garbage bins and put some of the garbage bins upstairs. That's when I saw her.
In class, in the staff room?
Yes.
Did you say anything to her at that time?
No.
Did she say anything to you?
No.
Did she see you?
I think so.
What do you mean you think so?
I walked by the door, so she probably knew I was there.
But you didn't say anything to her?
No.
So what? So she's sitting in that room alone, is that right? Is she in that?
Yes.
In the staff room alone. Did she, you say you got a feeling that you had to do it. What feeling, can you describe that to me upon seeing her? What feeling came over you? Like, what did you feel?
Just that I had to kill her. I wasn't angry or anything. Basically emotionless, just that I had to kill her.
Yep. Did you start waiting from that moment?
No, I continued working.
How long did you continue working till you went and waited?
I until she was ready to leave.
How did you know she was ready to leave?
She put the alarm on in the admin. She said she was leaving.
She said she spoke
Yes.
to you.
I was by the front gate at the time, so was she. That's when I picked her up at about 11:30, I think.
Yep.
She was walking towards the front gate.
Towards you.
Yes.
Yep.
And then I grabbed her.
Where did she speak to you? You said she
When
spoke.
she was walking away from admin towards the front gate.
And what words did she say to you?
I'm going. Have a happy Easter.
I'm going to have a happy Easter.
Yes.
Did she get past you, out of the... Did she get through the gate?
No.
No, you got her, and you said you grabbed her
Yes.
before she got out of the gate.
Yes, the gate was locked.
The gate was locked.
Yes.
Who locked the gate?
I think she locked it behind her when she came in.
Okay.
Apart from the episode that you started when you were 14 or 15 and you tried to strangle the school teacher
Yes.
in Holland, have you had any other episode like that between then and this episode that happened on Sunday?
I've had a lot of violent thoughts, but I've never acted on them.
Okay. So when you say you've had a lot of violent thoughts, can you describe to me what those thoughts have been?
About killing various people I've met,
Yep.
hurting them. That's about it, really.
And is there any reason why you wanted to kill these people or hurt these people?
No, I think I might have some mental problems, but I've never done anything to me to deserve it.
Are you able to tell me why you got angry at Stephanie and why you wanted to kill her?
I didn't really feel anger, I just wanted to kill her.
Oh, so you didn't feel anger?
No, I
You
don't
just
feel
wanted
a
to
lot of
kill her?
emotion.
Okay. So you just wanted to kill her?
Yes.
Can you tell me why you wanted to kill her?
No, I think I checked my mental health acting up again.
Okay.
One of my obsessions, rages.
Well, there you go. What a piece of shit. Now let me go over what did happen and how his twin brother Marcus, who lived in South Australia, got involved. So Vincent was at the school for most of the Easter weekend, even though he'd been told he couldn't be there out of his required work hours. The deputy principal saw his car there on the Good Friday, but he did nothing about it. And Vincent told police he just wanted to go to work because he was bored and that he was emptying bins and hosing them out. Now, on the Saturday, he attended the school to clean the multi-purpose centre. And on Sunday, April the 5th, he turned up at school at around 7:30am. He disarmed the administration block alarm at 9:03am. Now, as he was a casual employee, he shouldn't have had access to codes of any of the alarms, so he either found a list of them or watched staff punch in the codes. Now, how often is the weakest link in a security system the humans? Now, spend thousands on all this high-tech shit to keep people out, and it's rendered absolutely useless by people not doing the most basic things, like covering up keypads, or they write down passwords and entry codes. Now, I can imagine if hackers, if they sent out an email saying, click this link for toilet paper, hurry, stocks are running out fast, they'd be all going click, 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 click. Anyway, back to Sunday morning. Stephanie went to the home of another teacher, Monique Hardy, at around 11am to get the school keys. Now, Monique went with Stephanie to the school to show her how to get in. Now, Stephanie went to the English teacher's staff room, which was locked but not alarmed. Vincent first saw her when she was in the staff room working on her computer. He would later tell police that he had no idea that she'd be there that day and that he'd never met her before. He said that when he saw her, a feeling came over him, and he describes this feeling as just that I had to kill her. I wasn't angry or anything. Basically emotionless. Just that I had to kill her. Fuck's sake. He waited for Stephanie to pack up and get ready to leave. Now, what he told police would be found to not be 100% correct. So just leave the scene here at the school for a moment and quickly go over why it was a lie that Vincent claimed he didn't know Stephanie. When police conducted a forensic search of Vincent's phone and computer, they would go through his browser history. The search histories from Vincent's phone and computer revealed he regularly searched in relation to violent rape, violent sex, hardcore porn and murder. He also conducted searches in relation to necrophilia and necro-rape. Examples of searches conducted by Vincent on the 21st of February included bride rape, bride kidnapping, virgin bride brutally raped by drunk man, rape videos, and Muslim man rapes child bride until she dies. Immediately followed those searches was a rape porn video titled Japanese Teachers' Clothes Cut Off and Gang Raped by Students. The bride searches on that date occurred whilst Vincent was already working at Leeton High School. They were also conducted very shortly before he began his 5-week relief position there. Now, there was a prior bride search on the 8th of December 2014. So, it looks like he had some sort of bride rape fetish, and it was very well known amongst the staff and students of Leeton High that Stephanie was getting married. Even if he said he didn't know Stephanie or hadn't spoken to her, it's pretty obvious that in his day-to-day employment at the school, he would have seen Stephanie and found out she was getting married. Now, this is the reason he wasn't supposed to be at the school during school hours. He was supposed to only be there before school started and after it finished. They didn't want him to be able to interact with staff and especially students, but it seems when he was there when he shouldn't have, that no action was taken, for fuck's sake. So there are two main security failures here. He's at the school when he shouldn't be, and he has the alarm access codes. Now, not to mention the deputy principal saw his car at the school on the weekend. So why didn't he check that out to see if Vincent was there or not? I just don't know. Now, police also found that Vincent was an account holder at a security company that supplies handcuffs, batons, knives, and all that security stuff. On the 10th of October 2014, he'd ordered handcuffs and a half sword. On Easter Saturday, he ordered another knife and more handcuffs. He also attempted to purchase leg cuffs. He told police that he just wanted them. He also conducted a number of Google searches in the late afternoon. Now, the search terms included widowmaker, widow knives, sharpest puncture knives, sharpest knife tips, sharpest knives you can buy, best piercing knives, and get this, serial killer knives. Now, Vincent also ordered various sex toys from an internet provider. Now, I don't know if it was a fleshlight or whatever, they didn't say. Now, police would ask Vincent on what he'd done with Stephanie's rings. Now, she'd always wore 2 rings. Now, one was given to her as a university graduation gift by her mother. The other was her engagement ring. And Vincent told police that he remembered taking the rings off Stephanie at the school. He said he would have chucked it out somewhere. It had been in a bin somewhere, but he had no idea where. In fact, he posted the rings and Stephanie's driver's license to his twin brother Marcus on the morning of the 8th of April. Now, we'll get to Marcus in a little second. So let's get back to Easter Sunday, the 5th of April. Stephanie is busy in the staff room preparing everything for the relief teacher for when she goes on a honeymoon. Vincent has noticed her alone there, so he goes home to get his rape kit. Now, that included a knife, handcuffs and condoms. He then returned to the school. He then went to a storage room, which was an old dark room. He unlocked the door and he kept it open. Stephanie finished the preparation work she'd been doing. She packed up and started to leave. After leaving the administration block, Stephanie walked along an enclosed corridor towards the locked school gates. Now, Vincent was waiting for her. She saw him and said, "I'm going home now. Have a happy Easter." She stopped and attempted to get the keys out of her bag to open the gate. Now, Vincent grabbed her from behind with his right arm over her mouth and his left arm around her middle. Walking backwards, he dragged her along a corridor towards the storage room, which he'd previously left unlocked and the door open. Stephanie struggled and fought back. She scratched Vincent's face and tried to yell as she tried to free herself. She dropped the car keys on the way. Vincent claimed that he'd never been in this room before this day. He told police he'd opened it earlier that day because he just wanted to see what was in there. After he dragged Stephanie inside the storage room, he released her. As he turned to close the door, she tried to run out of the room. He pushed her and she fell face down on the floor between some MDF boards and a locker. Vincent put his left arm over Stephanie's throat and started beating her face with his right fist 30 or 40 times. She struggled for 40 to 50 seconds before she became unconscious. Vincent then sexually assaulted her. As Stephanie lay on the floor, Vincent placed his left hand on her throat. He removed a 40-centimetre knife from his right pocket and stabbed her in what he thought was the carotid artery. When asked by police why he stabbed Stephanie in the neck, he replied, "To make sure she was dead." He said that he had the knife in his car and he brought it into the school that day because he thought he had to open something up. Now, none of the other cleaners had ever seen Vincent with a knife, nor had any of them needed to use one in the course of their work. After killing Stephanie, Vincent left her lying where she was, and get this, he went home and had lunch. He then returned to the school, and Vincent later told police that after stabbing Stephanie, he picked up the knife and went to the cleaning storeroom to clean it. He picked up her belongings, including her car keys, which she dropped as she was being dragged away. At some point after returning to the school, Vincent went out and got Stephanie's car. He drove it into the school grounds to a point near the main buildings. He then carried her body to the car. He put some yellow masking tape on her neck to try and stop the bleeding. He placed plastic into the boot of the car and put her body on top of it. Vincent obtained a high-pressure cleaner and cleaned up the scene over the next few hours. He then drove Stephanie's car back to his house with her body in the boot, or trunk, and then he walked back to the school to collect his car. He loaded the blood-soaked MDF boards from the storeroom into the back of his ute and drove away. A little later that afternoon, Vincent was seen throwing a laptop into a canal outside of Leeton. This would be found to be Stephanie's laptop. Late that night, Vincent drove Stephanie's car and parked it near a service station. He entered the service station on foot and filled a jerry can with petrol. Now, the reason he did this was to avoid being captured on the CCTV system at the servo. Now, in the early hours of Monday the 6th of April, Vincent drove Stephanie's car to Kokopara National Park, and that's about 50 kilometres north of Leeton. He removed her body from the boot of the car and put it on the ground. He said her body was in the fetal position. He said it was stiff, but he was still able to move the joints, and when he put her on the ground, he just straightened her out. He removed all of her clothing, which he said took a fair bit of effort. He had to cut her shirt in order to remove it. He said he did this because he thought her clothing may not burn. Now, Vincent placed the clothes, a sun visor from Stephanie's car, and the plastic from the boot into a backpack. Shortly after 3 a.m, Vincent turned his phone on, having turned it off in Leeton at about 1:15 a.m. He took 6 photographs. The first 3 are too dark to show anything, but the last 3 are of Stephanie, naked and with a towel covering her head. The body is very clean with no observable blood on it. The wound on her neck is clearly visible and is also clean. Vincent put branches on the body along with 20 litres of petrol before setting it alight. Now, most of the fuel was placed in the area between the upper thighs and lower rib cage. An expert later noted that most of the damage was to the lower torso and groin area, with less damage to the head and chest and relatively minimal damage to the feet. Now, it looks like he was attempting to destroy evidence of the sexual element of his crime. Now, Vincent then drove Stephanie's car back to his home, where he removed the jerry can and boot liner. He changed his clothing. He then drove back out of Leeton and abandoned her car in Pike Road, Stanbridge, and he walked back into town. That's only a couple of hours' walk. Vincent later began disposing of Stephanie's property, which he'd stored in his wardrobe in his bedroom. He drove around in his ute and dumped her belongings in public garbage bins, including those on the main street of Leeton. Her clothes were not found, but the police recovered the car's sun visor and other items in a bin in Griffith. Also, as I mentioned earlier, he posted Stephanie's rings and driver's licence to his twin brother Marcus in South Australia. Now, when investigators found out Vincent had a twin, they got the local South Australian police to go and interview him. He gave a statement which really didn't say much other than his brother had called him a couple of times over the weekend. And that was pretty much it. Until a recorded telephone call made by Vincent to Marcus started to shed a bit more light on what they were actually talking about on the phone and in deleted text messages. On the 26th of May, Vincent called Marcus from the Metropolitan Remand and Reception Centre at Silverwater. Vincent asked Marcus what he'd done with the stuff he'd sent him. And Marcus told Vincent that he'd done what he'd told him to do. Now, Vincent asked him if he got a fair bit for it, and Marcus replied that he did. Now, 2 days later, investigators found messages exchanged on the morning of Wednesday the 8th of April, which showed that Marcus was aware that his brother was going to send him an envelope. Now, Vincent wrote, "I'm going to send you an envelope. Keep it safe for me." And he then texted, "Can you let me know when you receive the envelope?" Police returned to Marcus's home on the 30th of May in order to speak with him at the request of New South Wales Police. They asked him if he'd received an envelope containing jewellery from his brother. He said he'd not received anything from him since the previous Christmas. Now, Marcus was arrested at his home by South Australian Police on the 10th of June, and police also seized a camera, a business card for the Adelaide Exchange jewellery store, and his mobile phone. He was extradited to New South Wales. The examination of his phone revealed that he'd accessed a news article at 8:48 a.m. on Thursday the 9th of April titled "Bride-to-be Stephanie Scott missing from Leeton, New South Wales, 1 week before her wedding." So he was well aware at the time what was going on. On Tuesday the 14th of April, Marcus Googled selling jewellery in Adelaide. On Monday the 4th of May, he researched the price of diamond engagement rings and where and how to sell them. On Saturday the 9th of May, he went to the Adelaide Exchange jewellery store in Modbury, where he sold 2 rings belonging to Stephanie that had been sent to him by Vincent. They were her engagement ring and the ring given to her by her mother on the occasion of her graduation. He was only paid $705. Now, sadly, the 2 rings were scrapped. So Marcus would be done for accessory after the fact to murder, selling Stephanie's rings, destroying a driver's licence and lying to police. He would be convicted and sentenced to imprisonment for the fixed term of 1 year and 3 months. Now, he got off lightly because the accessory after the fact to murder offence was seen as being in the lower range of seriousness, as he was a brother and wasn't really involved that much at all, except in selling her rings. Still, selling her rings and for them to have been scrapped must have just been another heartbreak for Aaron and Stephanie's mum. I mean, getting $705 for them, for fuck's sake. Now let's get back to Vincent. Now there'd be a few other disturbing things that police would find out about him. I think it's fair to say that he had been stalking Stephanie. What is more shocking would be that he was found to be stalking at least 3 other women. Well, 2 women and a very young girl. Soon after he moved into the home in Maiden Avenue on the 4th of March 2014, he began covertly photographing and stalking a young girl in the neighbourhood. Now, the court would change her name to a pseudonym, Joanne. Now, names of all these 3 women I'll talk about have been changed by the court to protect their identities. Anyway, Joanne was then a student at Leeton Public School. She was 12 years old in 2015. Police found numerous surveillance-type photographs of Joanne on Vincent's camera. There was video footage and a further large number of photographs on his computer. In total, there were 1,805 images of Joanne, many showing her in a school uniform from the waist down. There are also numerous photographs of other schoolgirls and adult females who were passing by the house. There are also numerous images of bestiality and pictures of other young girls. Police also seized an exercise book with Vincent's name on the front cover. Inside the back cover and in his notes, he repeatedly referred to Joanne as a slut. The book contains extensive notes relating to surveillance conducted of her, including times she left the house for ballet and school and when she returned, when the house was empty and when she was home alone. Included is an entry, home alone, 1540, time enough to abduct. There are drawings including females, a car, a gun and a sword. There's an image of a female head with a knife striking it. There are notes of the registration number of cars belonging to Joanne's father and grandfather. Now another page contains a list of words including a number of stupefying drugs, including Valium, chloroform, nitrous oxide and rohypnol. Now Vincent also had a laminated photograph of a school dance group that included Joanne. He took it off the school notice board because it included her in it. In his first police interview, Vincent described his stalking of Joanne as a baseless obsession. He stated that he wanted to abduct Joanne but managed to control that urge. He went on to say that if he had abducted her, he probably would have killed her. Now the second female, Gillian, she was a young woman who worked in a supermarket in Leeton. Gillian noticed Vincent attending the store with his mother on a weekly basis in the 4 to 5 months prior to the murder, but he came alone in the weeks before. On the 24th of March 2015, Vincent approached Gillian and engaged her in general conversation. He did the same on the 27th of March. Police found on his computer that he Googled her on the 30th of March. On the 31st of March, Gillian arrived for work about 5 minutes before the supermarket was due to open. She saw Vincent sitting in the car park in his ute, which was parked near where the staff parked their cars, well away from the store entrance. Gillian parked her car and waited for 2 male co-workers to approach her car before she got out and walked into the store with them. Police later located photographs he'd taken at the time of Gillian's car in the car park. Police also found that he'd carried out a number of RTA or Roads and Traffic Authority internet searches in an attempt to trace the ownership details of Gillian's car. The third female, Jennifer, was a 28-year-old teacher at Leeton High School. She ordinarily parked her car in the top car park at the school. She was frequently required to work back late, and on occasion her car would be the last one left in the car park. Often when she went back to her car, Vincent was nearby. Jennifer would sometimes say hello, and he would say hello back. Now, police found a photograph of Jennifer's car on his phone. The photograph was taken at 4:57 p.m. on the 27th of March, while the car was parked in the Leeton High School car park. Now, wow! What a fucking dangerous, sick, murderous, raping fuckwit. Vincent would plead guilty to the murder of Miss Stephanie Claire Scott. He also pleaded guilty to having sexual intercourse without her consent, knowing that she was not consenting in circumstances of aggravation, namely that he deprived her of her liberty. The judge would say, "I'm satisfied that this is a case of murder that clearly falls within the worst category. I'm satisfied beyond any doubt that the offender's culpability is so extreme that the community interest in retribution, punishment, community protection and deterrence can be met with only one response." Vincent was convicted of the aggravated sexual assault and murder of Stephanie Claire Scott, and for the aggravated sexual assault he was sentenced to 15 years. There was no non-parole set for that offence because for the murder charge, he was sentenced to life. Now let's hope this prick never gets out. Now how the family and friends get over a loss like this is beyond me. Stephanie was loved by all, not only by her close friends, family and fiancé, but by the whole community. At her memorial, everyone released yellow balloons because it was her favourite colour. At the site where Stephanie's body was found in Kokopara National Park, a garden has been dedicated in her memory. Sadly, Stephanie's father, Bob Scott, was killed on the 1st of November 2016 while working on their family farm when a tree fell on him. Well, Islanders, what do you think? Geez, this guy was just an unexploded bomb ready to go off at any moment. I mean, the 3 other women that he stalked, and one of them, she was just a very young girl. They must still have nightmares over this. And as you could see by the video, he has no remorse, no emotion. He had the opportunity to kill that day. He went home, got his rape murder kit. He just did it. Now I'm sure, and I think the judge is pretty sure as well, that if he hadn't been caught so quickly, he would have killed again. He was already researching serial killer knives and handcuffs. And that was at the time, just the day before he killed Stephanie. So he was obviously going to do it again for sure. Seemed like he was starting to plan out a few things. So let's hope he never gets released. So that's the end of the show. If you want to support the island, there are links in the description for Patreon, PayPal and merch. Please feel free to comment, like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it if you share the channel. Now hit the bell to be notified as well. Now because I don't bleep out my swearing and use words like murder, the YouTube gods won't promote this channel. So your subscription and sharing are really appreciated, especially in trying to get more people on the island. So I don't want to run bleeped out versions here and then have to run, say, uncensored versions on Patreon or somewhere else. I mean, that's some of the most annoying watching, and I'm not going to do it. All right, I'm your host, Cambo. You've been watching True Crime Island, and as I always say, don't forget to delete your browser history. Good night, boom fakalunga.